Hi, this is Rob from Tesla Owners US, and today we are visiting Gruber again. They have a massive amount of Roadsters there and they need to all be repaired, and you are with us today and watch what can be repaired, what is repaired and how they're gonna do it. So we're looking forward to that.
I pressed and say,
so guys, you might have figured that already out. We are at Gruber Motor Company. And let's go in. Hello!
Hello Rolf, how are you?
Yes, senior. Good, how are you? So we are coming today because we want to see the most amount of Roadsters in one place, what we probably have. And Pete is guiding us around and tell us all of the interesting things what we're going to see here.
Absolutely.
So,
let's go
start.
find all the Roadsters first.
Yes.
So we really believe that this building at this point may have the most Roadsters under roof of any other building. Let's turn on the music a bit.
We like classic music, but might copyright problems. Okay, good.
So we have 6 parts Roadsters here, and these, the bottom 2 may be restorable, but it depends on the volume of parts that we need.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the cars that we have out here is a combination of customer cars and a couple of more parts cars. This blue Roadster is a sport version. It actually has a leather interior, and the book on this was $151,000. It's probably the most expensive Roadster that we've had here so far.
Yeah, when you see that also, you see the leather is very unique. There's a beige leather on top of it, and then the brown leather with the letters for that. Yeah. So I've not seen this version of a Roadster before.
This car was bricked August 13th, 2018, and it's being recovered at this point. We found 2 bad sheets in it so far, and it's looking very promising.
Good, good.
We have another Roadster here that's on life support right now.
So we were going to explain with the bad sheets a little bit later what we're going to do with bad sheets and how we fix that. Let's go to the next one.
What we're doing here with this car is it's on life support. This is a level 1 recovery, what we call level 1, and this is the first stage. We have had cars that have only needed a level 1 recovery without a battery pull, and they come back to life. And once we have them back to life, then this charge port here works again, and the car is no longer bricked. At this point in time, it's completely dark because we've disabled the battery connection to the car systems. Yeah. Since at this point the priority is charging.
Guys, you have to know that because what Tesla is doing there is they don't bring him to life like that. They say, oh, you might have to buy a new battery pack from us if we have one, and that's going to about $29,000, right?
And what we're hearing from customers currently is they may be out until 2021 before there are any more battery packs, 3.0 battery packs. Oh. So it's vital at this point to continue to try to keep these cars alive.
Yes, because one more electric car on the road is one less fuel car.
Right.
Okay, so that's level 1 support, yeah?
Yes, if the level 1 recovery is unsuccessful, then we move to a level 2 recovery, which is this car that's up in the air. And at that point, we pull the battery pack. We identify through our own software which sheets are defective, and then we do a sheet replacement. On this particular battery, the 2 sheets that were replaced were these 2. And now we're doing a balancing to balance out the sheets in the car. By the way, there's 6,831 lithium-ion cells in this 900-pound pack. There's 621 cells in each sheet, and there are 11 sheets in this battery pack. Yeah.
So, and then I see that interesting thing here that you have a special way to lift up the car and a support for that one, because this is not the standard, right? Can you say something about that as well?
Absolutely. to put a Tesla Roadster on a lift is pretty precarious because all the weight is concentrated in the back. This spacer, which we actually make here in our machine shop, is designed to give us the right clearance from here to here, to also not pinch this brake line, and to give it the right distance. You can see the front of the lift is actually picking up the support pads in the front.
Yeah. And actually I had that before when they changed my tires. They did those lift points wrong and they set them on differently and then they punched in here.
Ah, okay.
And then I had to have that repaired, and sure, at the tire shop nobody knew about that. The guy has left already. He was fired or he left, and they didn't take any responsibility. So be careful when you lift up a Roadster.
Now, to do a level 2 recovery or to pull a battery pack, the rear suspension components need to be uncoupled, and that's why everything you see here is loose at this point.
Yeah.
It's a major project to pull a battery pack, and despite the complexity, Tesla placed replaceable components inside this battery pack. If you notice, here is a fuse.
Yep.
There are some other fuses on this side, and there are 3 of them right there. There is a megapole relay, and these are all wear items that at some point will need to be replaced. And then, of course, circuit boards. Same thing, there are fuses on that circuit board. The long and short of it, this car was not really designed to be serviced. It was put together and sold to get something out to the market.
Yeah.
The Model S is much improved. It is serviceable, and when you get a problem in a battery pack, you know, you may not have to replace the entire battery pack like you do in this Tesla Roadster.
Yeah. So here you cannot even access that battery pack, means because here is usually a liquid in there, right?
Yes.
So that's a cooling liquid in between, and this you have to take the whole battery pack out, take all the cooling liquid out, and then you have it accessible, these components, so that you might change a fuse here or there or there or on any place, right?
We actually have a customer right now that has a heater problem in their Roadster. And the heater fuse, Tesla told them, is in the pack.
Yes.
So they said the only option you have is to replace the pack for $29,000.
No. We want to replace that fuse.
We want to replace the fuse,
and that's
yes.
probably a $30 part or something, right?
Yeah, or
but
less.
Yeah. Or less. But the whole package to take it out and remove that and so on, that is pretty extensive.
Very labor intensive.
Very labor intensive, yeah.
And it requires special rigging, hydraulic lifts, and
yeah, you have a special lift for that as well, what I'm seeing here, right? Mm-hmm. You built yourself a lift so that you can lift that package up under the Roadster and lift it down again, right?
What we do is we actually take the car lift and lower the car onto the battery pack.
Ah, okay.
And then once we have it out, we try not to move the battery pack around because of the clearance issues.
Yes.
And when we drop it, hopefully it's in the same position as it was when we
So
lifted
basically
it up.
you want to keep it in the same place
Right.
as it was before, so that you can slowly drop the car again and then the battery pack comes back in.
Absolutely.
The same spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're locking the whole lift for this time of the repair and of the recovery. Mm-hmm. So now you exchange two sheets for that, 1 and 2, and then now you're leveling them out, and then you hope that this will do it, right?
Yes.
To an appropriate range.
The trick is to replace sheets that are comparable in degradation as the other sheets.
Oh,
yes. If these new sheets, or if these replaced sheets are new, you have a problem because you have to match the current level of packs or sheets that are in.
Because it goes always by the lowest link, right? It goes by the lowest level, right?
So because it's a series, it's a series combination. It's the same as true in UPSs. If you have a string of 40 batteries and you lose 1 or 2 batteries, the ideal thing is to get batteries that have aged comparable to the batteries that are in the current string. And we actually have special battery maintenance devices that will degrade a brand new battery or age it to match what's already in the string. Otherwise,
Ooh.
the other batteries really take a beating when you put new batteries into a string.
Yeah, because they are putting a load on it in order to reach that level, right?
Yeah, there has to be some equilibrium.
Yep. So
there are some more Roadsters back here, of course. Same thing, they're in either level 1 or level 2 recovery.
yeah, so here's another one from California, and that is 451. Nice interior, that white interior there. Yeah, this is the standard interior, as you can see it from here. There's not a leather on that front.
This car actually came to us with some of the battery BMB boards disconnected. We're not certain of the history or who else was working on it, but we were able to do a level 1 recovery, and a problem we ran into is in these 2008 vehicles, they have a smoke detector inside the battery pack, and that smoke detector is reporting as MIA, missing in action. So, unfortunately, this is going to have to go to a level 2 to try to troubleshoot why that smoke detector isn't communicating or replace it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the battery, it looks like the voltage levels are sufficient to where we would be able to charge if it wasn't for that fault.
So did you charge a little bit more up on that battery now, so that it's now you don't have to recover it again? So did you charge it up to 50% or so? Or?
What we do is we usually go closer to like 80–90%.
Yes.
And then we disable the system or disconnect the car systems so the pump is not running and it's not declining.
Yes.
And like the Model S, it will hold fairly steady in that mode.
Yeah, I heard about that. The Model S holds pretty steady in that mode. So you disconnect all consumptions.
Yes.
So the DC-DC converter, the pump, and whatever it
The
comes
APS.
across. Yeah.
And there is a plug which we have some detail in our most current newsletter, the January 2019 newsletter.
Yeah.
The battery disconnect plug is actually hidden way down in there, and we mentioned that it takes a contortionist to get in there to reach that. Now, I can't do it, but my son, who has probably a half-inch longer arm, is able to get in there and pull that out.
So they pull the plug out, and then the battery is disconnected.
Exactly.
Right? For its all consumptions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One other way to disconnect that plug is to take the wheel off and take out the arch liner, and then you have a little bit more access to that.
Yeah. Okay, and then you have much more Roadsters. Here's another one. There's another one that is a damaged one. This is another one here. And
This
then,
Roadster actually was bricked twice. The original battery pack bricked, and then the 3.0 battery pack bricked.
oh, there is even a carbon fiber spoiler on that. You know, that looks like a T-Sportline carbon fiber spoiler.
This car only has 1,400 miles on it.
Oh, and twice bricked? Okay, just to explain what bricked is. So there's a certain level voltage what the car needs to have. And if you are dropping below this voltage, the battery package is called bricked. Because tell that story what you had there is one guy on an auction. He bought a Roadster, and in the auction of a salvage auction, it was saying battery bricked, right?
Right. Well, it was a either IAA or Copart, and they had a Roadster for sale. And they usually take pictures of the interior of the car. They showed the little Roadster screen, and I forget what the mileage was on it, but usually these cars sit in title jail for sometimes months. It takes a while for the insurance company to negotiate with the owner on an agreeable price, and anyway, it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Try as we may to talk to these insurance company or the auction houses, you have a car here that is declining because you're not charging it.
Yeah.
Look in the trunk, take out the charge cable, just plug it into 120
That's
and keep
all
the
what
thing
you need
alive.
to do.
Yeah.
Keep it alive. Yeah.
And their standard pet answer is, no, we're not wired to do that, we're not mechanics, that's the insurance company's fault, problem. So this last time, we pointed out, you're selling this car as a runs and drives car. And that was absolutely true when that car came to your lot.
But it's not anymore.
3 to 6 months later, it's going to be bricked, which in layman's terms means it's not drivable anymore. It's dead. All
Yeah,
right?
because the battery is dead.
Right. So you are misrepresenting this car. You will end up with a return, a legitimate return on this car. So why not just charge it? Again,
Yes.
they said, well, that's the insurance company's problem. So we have given up trying to get the insurance or the auction houses to actually maintain these cars during that time that they are at the auctions.
And there was even a customer, he did not know what brick meant, right?
Well, that's this. Yeah, that's this car.
That is this car.
This
It's a
one sold-
beautiful white car, Roadster.
This one sold on eBay. Sunday morning, I was at home. The price had already gone up to $38,000, and the description and disposition clearly said bricked Roadster. I suspected at that point that bricked is not a universal term, and whoever was bidding on it didn't understand this car wasn't going to be driving. All right. So by Sunday morning, around 10 o'clock, the auction ended, and somebody won the car for $41,100.
Oh.
For a bricked Roadster. Now you do the math. There's no body damage on this, but you throw in a $30,000 battery pack if they don't come to us for recovery.
Yeah.
You now have a $70,000 Roadster, plus transport fees more like $75,000.
Where you actually can buy a new one
Yes.
or a used one for a better
functioning
price.
used one for around 50, 60, right?
Yes.
So sure enough, Monday morning, now this was Sunday, the company that sold this contacted us and said, hey, we heard about you guys. We realize you recover battery packs. The owner, the financing fell through. So we went to the second bidder, the second highest bidder, and we asked him, you can have the car. He said, oh, wonderful. I'd love to get it. I'll fly up and drive it home. I said, well, what do you mean drive it home? It doesn't run. He had no idea what the term brick meant.
Actually, I drove my Roadster home as well, but it took me 4 days to drive the Roadster home.
Right, that was before what, charging stations? How did you do it?
No, I had RV parks with a
you went to the
charger.
RV, yeah, that was
RV
the old
parks,
days.
and there was some of the one you have at the door there, the old Roadster chargers there.
Destination
There were some
charging.
of them. I charged one of them at the Tesla store in Los Angeles somewhere.
Well, those are the good old days, or
Yeah.
you would beg somebody to disconnect their dryer so you could plug in and charge for the night. So anyway, this car is in recovery right now. It has some bad sheets though, so it's going to have to go to level 2 recovery. And, we're waiting for the owner to make a decision how they want to proceed.
Yeah. So you do have you have a pack which has a couple of sheets in, and then you could revive those ones, or you take it from another pack out, right?
Right. The source for sheets these days is donor cars. So
Yeah.
when you get a car that's been collision damaged, that has frame damage, like the one on the end,
One of the end there.
that car will never be put back on the road because it will never go through Tesla recertification. And you can see the type of damage that kills a car. When this aluminum frame is compromised, like it is here, this control arm.
Look, guys, here's a 12-volt battery.
Yes.
That's a 12-volt battery in the Roadster.
And it's actually opened up. Look at that. You can
Oh,
see the glass itself.
and the lead is getting out as well.
Oh, I got to do a shameless plug here. We have a replacement battery for this that is sealed lead acid. It does not require any sort of fluids, and it has 4 more amp hours. And
Then this one,
Then this one. And
in the
it's a
same
perfect-
size.
In the same size. It fits into that cradle.
Oh, great. So I might need one for my Roadster again. Okay.
So
Good.
when cars are this bad,
Yeah.
then they become donor cars, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you cannot recover them then. And then you take the battery pack out, possibly, right?
Yeah, this one has not yet been removed.
Not yet been removed, but possibly you take the battery pack out.
And we're using this as a test mule currently to test PEMs. This car would actually run and drive if it wasn't for that
Damage in the front.
damage, yeah.
Yeah.
This is another one that we got at auction. This one does not have that extensive frame damage, so this one can be put back on the road, and it's also a test mule at this point. But eventually, as the values of these increase, this car may.
And it has a carbon fiber front as well. Look at this.
So if you like, we can take a look to see what happens inside our lab area.
Yes.
So the first thing I'd like to point out is what got us into this business was actually our activity in the uninterruptible power system business, the UPS business.
Yeah.
These are three-phase UPSs and some single-phase, and these go in data centers, and this box keeps the power running when your utility drops power.
Yeah.
It keeps the computers, the networks, the data center functioning.
So, and it's based on a battery pack, and then these are the inverters for it, right?
Exactly. These are the battery packs here.
Yeah.
This is a Symetra PX made by Schneider, or actually APC Electric. We rebuild these battery packs, have been doing that for about 20 years. And about 30 years ago, 25 years ago, UPSs began to shift to a modular design, where instead of having a fixed 100 kVA UPS, you actually were able to plug power modules in and reconfigure your box to different kVA sizes, which was great because now you had scalability and you were able to grow your UPS as your business grew.
Yeah.
So this is called a power module. Here's another example of it on the shelf. And we repair these. This is a three-phase 10 kVA power module. Those are 4 kVAs, and we also have 25 kVA power modules. What these power modules do is they convert DC to AC, which is the exact same thing that your power electronics
Models for the Roadster.
the PEM does in the Roadster.
Yeah.
The only difference between this and the PEM is what it powers. One powers a data center, the other powers your car.
A car.
Your
So,
three-phase induction.
and that's how we came to Tesla,
Exactly.
to the power electronic module from Tesla. And let's look in the lab now.
So what we do in the lab area here is we work on power modules, UPS power modules, and power electronic modules out of Roadsters. And what I wanted to show you guys here was a typical power electronic module in a Roadster. There are 3 inverter sections. That's because there is an AC induction motor, which was Nikola Tesla's invention. It's a highly efficient rotating device because with 120 degree phase separation, it pulls into the next rotation. The way that they achieve 3-phase AC power coming out of this PEM from the battery pack, which sits behind it toward the seat, is through these inverters. An inverter simply converts DC to AC, and what it does is it takes DC power and it chops it up so that you get a square wave. It turns it on and off. Now, if you feed a square wave into a 3-phase AC induction motor, or any induction motor for that matter, it's unhappy because it wants to see a sine wave. It wants to see a gradual decline and increase. So, in order to create or get rid of that square wave, they use filter capacitors. These are electrolytic capacitors. And these are like small batteries. They have a plus-minus polarity. They temporarily store charge. But what ends up happening when you run a square wave through an electrolytic capacitor, it rounds out that square wave, eventually giving you a sine wave, which is the most efficient form of power for an AC induction motor.
Yeah.
The same is true in a UPS power module. Here we have a couple of power modules opened up. There are 3 phases. There are filter capacitors here and here, and they are wave shaping devices, just like this power electronics module.
Yeah.
Now, for many years, 50 years or so since UPSs have been around, it is a industry standard to change electrolytic capacitors in these power modules every 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Because they decline. They get resistive. They eventually start putting a load on the inverter or on the transistors. And in severe cases, they become so resistive that they heat up, and then you get what's called thermal runaway. That was
And that's not a good idea. We don't have good experience with thermal runaways.
the older Liebert UPSs were notorious for catching on fire. In fact, we had one customer in Texas that actually lost their building as a result of a UPS fire.
Well, and I'm gonna show a video of that where one UPS, I got that video sent from your engineer, show you how one of these UPSs here is always all of a sudden popping fire, and we have a little small one.
This happened a couple days ago. This came out of a UPS power module.
And that's how it looks like on a UPS power module. This is actually a small capacitor, right?
Right.
So when you think you are fine with your Tesla PEM, you might not be fine, because one day or later these capacitors might bust,
Yes.
right?
There is, we have one customer in Europe actually that had capacitor blow up inside his PEM. And what's inside a capacitor is a bunch of aluminum foil.
Yeah.
So when that blows up, you get all this conductive material spraying all over the inside of a PEM, shorting out all of the fine circuitry that's in there. And with PEMs being as rare as they are these days and potentially non-existent or any spares available in the future, it's very important to maintain your PEM. Now, one other thing to consider, in the UPS world, we change these capacitors every 7 to 8 years.
Yes.
For good measure, proactively, because we don't want them to fail or to completely fail.
Yeah.
This is in a controlled environment. Data centers are generally 64 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
Because they keep the
Constant
temperature always constant.
because of all of the heat load they have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Your Roadster PEM is subjected to all kinds of wild temperature extremes.
Sometimes it's subjected to 110.
Yes,
right. Or more
Here
of
in
temperature,
Phoenix,
yes.
It gets
In
extraordinarily
Phoenix, or at extraordinary cold could be as well, right?
True.
Yeah.
So the prevailing argument is maybe you shouldn't wait 7 to 8 years to change your caps like you do in an electronic or in a UPS power module,
Yeah.
considering that it's subjected to such wild
Because once you
temperatures.
lose the PEM, you might not get a new one.
Exactly.
Right.
And if it's like this one that blew up.
Are you
it may
doing
not be.
a PEM exchange program also? Say like, hey, we have a working PEM and you could exchange that, so send me your PEM and or...
We do. We have a core exchange,
Yeah.
especially for the European customers,
Yeah.
where we can send them a PEM and we take theirs as a core exchange.
Yeah. And then you try to repair theirs or and tell them this is the amount of money we had to put in yours in order to bring it back to
Yes.
a good situation.
And what we do with PEMs, I'll come around this way,
Yeah.
we actually rebuild them. There is more than just filter capacitors that need to be replaced in a power electronics module like this. You have other wear items like the megapole relays. I don't think this is loose, so I can't get under there. Yeah, there's one right there. As you know, relays are mechanical devices. You
Yes.
have two contacts coming together, closing and opening, and every
Yeah.
time you do that, you're displacing a bit of metal and you get some arcing, and
Yeah.
eventually you have problems. There's a micro switch here that notoriously fails after a while. We change micro switches, we change all of the contactors, all of the megapole relays.
This is for the lid, right? This the microchip is for the lid. When the lid is down, then
Exactly,
it's
yes.
on, right?
Yeah. And with time, corrosion gets into the contacts. It's a good idea to change that, as inexpensive as that is. And we also change the fuses, just for good measure.
There are fuses in there as well.
Yes.
And then there was some special bonding material. What you had there? Where was it?
This is
Yes,
the
this
insulating
one.
material, and this is a heat sink, or this is an insulating material between the IGBTs, which are underneath this board, to a aluminum finned heat sink. And you don't want direct contact from the transistor to that grounding point. So what they use is this type of insulator that transfers the heat to the aluminum heat sink. The problem on the PEMs is the original insulating material that was selected by the vendor that made these for Tesla. Tesla did not make these. They selected a material that degrades over time. Of course, that wasn't intentional. That was the result of temperature extremes and age. And what happens if you don't replace this proactively, eventually the material deteriorates to the point where the transistor shorts into the heat sink.
aluminum heatsink.
It shorts the inverter. It kills some transistors, and with anything shorting with this much power and energy,
Yeah.
you could have a catastrophic failure where it may not be repairable.
So did you replace those? Because it says here inspected.
No.
No.
This was the original manufacturers,
Okay.
and this is probably for each inverter stack.
And this is only, is that a unit what you overhaul, or is this a unit what you had built, taken out just to check?
This is a customer's unit.
Customer's unit,
It is
okay.
being repaired and rebuilt.
Be repaired and rebuilt. Cool. All right.
So what feeds this power electronics module
Yeah.
is a Tesla Roadster battery pack, and I thought that we
Let's go to
show.
that. Go to that sheet, right? The
This is the
sheet
sheet.
what we talked about. There's replacement sheets. Yeah.
So there are 621 lithium-ion cells in a number of bricks. Each of these sections is a brick, and these cells are connected in parallel in the brick. So the plus plate and minus plate are all the same on these cells. Then the bricks are connected in series to make up a sheet voltage, which is here, and it's only 30 volts, so I can touch it without dying.
Yeah.
And then the sheets, 11 of them, are stacked together, as you saw outside, with a connecting cable between them that connects all of the sheets in series.
Makes 330 volt.
Yeah, actually a little bit more than that, but yeah, it's just under 400 volts.
Yeah.
What we did with the last Tesla Roadster newsletter, we showed customers what to do when your Roadster gets bricked. Poor choice of words, if it gets bricked would probably have been better, but we've seen so many, we just assume that it will get bricked. This is the message that you don't want.
Critical brick under voltage fault.
At this point in time, the Tesla charge port will no longer work, and your car essentially will not be drivable until you either replace it with a 3.0 battery pack or you have a recovery done by us.
But the first thing what you want to do, put it in tow mode, right?
Tow mode. And so many times we've received those 3 cars that we just received this week.
Yes.
All 3 of them were locked. They could not get them into tow mode. Now, you can call our tech support and we can tell you how to put it in tow mode, but they were having all kinds of difficulty and they couldn't do it. So it took 6.5 hours to put 3 cars on a transporter up in the Bay Area. It took us 2.5 hours to unload them here because you literally have to drag the car off of the transporter if those rear wheels are locked.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
That's what happened.
So-
Had they been on an open transport carrier, we could have unlocked them, but they were in an enclosed space, so we actually had to drag them out in order to get them freed up. And that's the first thing we do is put them in tow mode. The second thing you want to do, and usually you have enough voltage left even with this critical condition to where you can put it in tow mode. The second thing is you want to pull a log. This is invaluable to our people that are going to then be diagnosing what to do with that battery pack. How long has it been bricked? What kind of conditions was it subjected to while it was being bricked? So this is invaluable for the diagnosis
Yeah, and
part.
here is that connector, the disconnect there. This is where you have to grab all the way deep in with very tiny
Right.
fingers and long arms in order to pull that
disconnect plug,
That
yes.
disconnect plug, right? And that's then there's no drainage on the battery anymore.
And that's the primary reason. So many times these cars get bricked and then they sit another couple, 3 months waiting for a transporter to get out there, waiting for them to find a vendor that can recover them.
And then it drains and drains and drains.
It drains. So if those 3 things are done, the instant that they notice that the battery pack is bricked or can no longer charge, it's in the 90% range that we can recover it.
Yeah.
Successfully with full
Good.
range.
And you recovered quite a couple of them already, right? Yeah. Good. All right. Hey,
So
show me
you might
something
want to
more.
see something else here.
Yes.
Here we have a Tesla Model S on the bench, and this is one of the ways that we test hardware, from doorknobs to Wi-Fi antennas.
And I've heard your son told me that you built this one because he had it stacking up there, and he said, no, that's not how you do it. You built it for yourself, right?
I was bored one Sunday when I came in, and I went back. We had some spare hardwood, and made him a nice stand.
Yeah. So, good. Before we end here today, we want to show you some very special thing, and Pete will tell us the story.
So there's some very kind people in the Roadster community. And we were talking about servicing a Roadster, and the owner of the Roadsters said, I used to work for Tesla. And we spoke Tesla for a while, and finally got around to the fact that I have Tesla number 5, a signature Roadster. He said, oh my God, I was an intern at Tesla, of course they don't pay you, And he said the day I
Of
left,
course they don't pay you.
he says, there's a cabinet, and he said, Elon said, go ahead and help yourself to anything in that cabinet. And they had a bunch of old Tesla Roadster promotional stuff in there, and he found a hat in there. This is a Tesla Signature 100 Roadster hat. Still has the tag on it.
Still has the original purchase tag on that.
Yep.
And then you see that from the front, this is still the old logo.
Absolutely. The
So, and a
medallion
black
logo.
hat, yeah. You know, this is the cap for you. Really, this is your own.
Yes. So this is where kindness and generosity come into play, and it gives you a sense for how special the Roadster owners are. He said, you know, I've been waiting all these years to reunite this hat with a Signature 100 car, and if you have it, this is yours. So he came out here for Barrett Jackson, spent some time with his dad here, and he brought me this hat.
So that is the rightful hat to the rightful owner of the Tesla number 5. All right. So then let's say goodbye. So thank you, Pete, for your hospitality and that we can join you in that tour. We cannot do that with Tesla. We tried that many times, so they said no video, no pictures, not allowed. Maybe you can one time sneak a picture in there, but all of that what they do, you can't, they are not allowing you to do any videos there. So we are allowed here to do videos.
And more than likely, when we get as large as Tesla, we'll have the same policy, but for now, you're welcome anytime, and we'll take videos and let you guys wander around.
So if you are interested, I'm gonna give you the address and you can show up at the same door here. You get a little tour in Arizona. If you rent the car for me, we're gonna drive you out here. We do that as well. So see you then the next time, and bye-bye.
I pressed and say